G'day guys, a quick look at Randwick today. Date is the 1st of September, 1st of spring. Weird with this rain. I think what they've reported is, just checking if there's any update, 3 mils the last 7 days of irrigation, 6 mils the last 7 days of water, 3 mils of rain the last 24 hours. So most of that rain missed Randwick. Penetrometer 5.14, which is pretty similar to what the last few meetings have been there. Rails in the 10 metre position, so expecting it to be hard to run on. Like, it's just got to be okay that inside. You'd imagine that's pretty much right in the sweet spot, unless they get to the outside fence, which I see being not really a possibility. First couple of races, a big field, so we should get a good guide to how the track will play. But I think you know, that sort of 2, 3, 4 off in the straight will be good and hard to run on. I just can't really see it being anything but a non-pace advantage. But we'll see early, and they're not huge tempo in a lot of these big fields, so keeping an eye on it. First race of the day. So this is a 3-year-old benchmark 74, 1300. Obviously, more Sundays is the dominant favourite here. $1.90 in from best of 225-ish. Couple of key scratchings in Gem Song and Bubbles and Troubles. More Sundays is insanely short. It's obviously got some good ability. It was revved up to lead its only start at Geelong and did a good job there. Now rises from 11 to 1300. Obviously put in a good trial, and a horse that put in considerably similar trial in Madame Rouge, come out and won the last on Wednesday. Obviously this is a little bit more difficult, but not ridiculously so. So decent comparison. Draws well, should run well. Looking for dangers. Rainier obviously ran second to Miss Fabulous in that really slowly run race where they ripped home there. Can improve up to 1300, gets the crossover noseband. Couldn't really find Condemned. Quackerjack's trials were just okay. Aristocratic Miss had a cheap kill at Geelong on the synthetic first up, raced away there. Good form last prep, but very one-paced and probably needs further. Thought Perfect Pitch trialled up really well. Wasn't hopeless here. From just where it gets to from the gates, a bit of an issue. Bubbles and Troubles obviously comes out. Scratch this horse. Ligulate was a good winner first up, 13 over 1,000. Sorry, now it gets to 1300, which looks more suitable, but obviously again drawn awkwardly. Simey was handed the race first up. Definitely needs to improve. It is open to improvement, so can't put a line through it. Newt comes out as well. What else we got? Regina, I thought is a pretty underrated horse that's put in 2 good performances and not hopeless. I don't know who rides it, but maybe Corey Brown, I'm not sure. Had a quick look. Tim rides the bottom horse, Sanjita, who's trialled up quite well and is a knockout hope too, so I'm going to adjust these prices a little bit with the scratchings and a couple of emergencies gaining runs, but really, it does look the race for more Sundays. Can I take $1.90? No way in the world. Can I find any value around it? Not really. Not really at all. I could throw horses like Perfect Pitch, Regina and Sanjita in Quinellas. Rainier maybe the danger. I just don't like the race at all, and I'm probably just going to watch it from a pattern perspective and try and learn as much as possible. More Sundays the horse to beat, but too short in the first. Race 2. Yeah, I'm looking for tactics here, tactic changes. What's interesting is this horse, Streets of Avalon, sat outside the leader every start it's ever had. Draws to lead this time. I think it's got more speed than Instant to Rue, or what do we want to call this horse. Goodfellas the horse that interests me, that could roll forward, could bluff the kid out of the lead and can run a good race from there. I thought its rides have been pretty average. It's received this preparation and certainly open to running well, and does look at least well prepared to run the mile out if it goes forward. Had the 3 runs back now. They've got a lot of these runners here that are all sort of looking for a position but drawn poorly. Interested to see the blinkers on Gamblers Town. Probably tries to hold a more forward position, obviously. Looking at the betting, Faralitos is ready to win, but Synthetic Hook Filler and draws 9, horrible. Is a chance with luck in running. Naval Warfare trialled up well, even though it's first up. Old North is not the horse for this rider, I don't think. Probably happy to risk it. Instant to Red looks to get the nice run and can run well. One paced. Abden, very similar. Pretty one paced and draws nicely. You got a good chance. Souche looks well set up to run its best, but draws in that awkward position. And $9 Goodfella looks well and truly fair enough. I would have liked the $5.50 or $6 they bet Streets of Avalon early into 5 to 2, probably closer to its right price. I think probably a $3.50, $4 chance. Racing well in Melbourne and certainly does look to control the tempo here. Campbellstown ready to go now, but not the most reliable of sources, and I'm not keen to back Jack's Hill. So Goodfella probably the value, but not a real betting race. I think Streets of Avalon's certainly the horse to beat, but any of these runners, Faralitos and Souche, definitely ready to win. Just need luck. Abdon needs to get the right runs, both one paced, will keep coming, so they're not going to be weak here at the end of the mile. Randwick race 3 is the highway. The two runners I've kind of settled on as the hardest to beat are the two leaders. Cisco Bay's obviously been very unlucky its last 3 runs. Now draws to be the outside of quite a bit of speedy, which is a problem. This is Cisco Bay. We've got runners underneath it with some good pace. So there does look good speed on, and I'm still thinking that the 2-1 pacers in Athonus and Cisco Bay are the hardest to beat. They've probably got the good setup for this distance range and should battle on quite well. There's nothing really that wants to run on here too much. I think Gordon's Leap's an interesting runner. If a 30-day freshen up can suit it, and it could certainly get home strongly late at sort of 25 to 1 seems big odds. If there is a solid run on horse with some upside. Tristan the Angel's interesting, a bit of a late entry and did trial up quite well. He can be running on as well. It's just a matter of how much pressure there is here and sort of what horses get what runs. But I think the 2-1 paces will run well. Athonus, Cisco Bay, Tristan the Angel's quite short, but can obviously run well. And if it stays that solid in the market, you'd expect it to run well. And Gordon's Leap's certainly the value at 25 to 1 can get home down the outside. Race 4 is not a race I want to spend too much time on. All Too Soon comes up short. It's been well backed early. Where the heck does it get from the gate? It's going to give them most of them a start. Definitely can't entertain it at the price it is. But obviously the horse with the upside in the race and should run well. Not a lot of speed. We've got the Lord Mayor, probably more another snappy going to take it up. Does All Too Soon press with it? Gutsy play if it does. Possibly. It's a chance of doing it, and then it certainly will firm right up in the market, but it is 500 metres up in distance, so not an easy task. Brigham Rocks also draws out here in this awkward position, and whether it decides to sort of roll forward a bit and try and find a spot or not, I'm not sure. There's horses in the race like Rakik and Just Shine who have had no luck racing back in the field behind slow tempos recently and can certainly improve significantly. I think they're probably the two value runners. Just Shine around the $8 chance and Rakik around the $8 chance as well, $8.50. Not a race straightforward again, unfortunately, but sort of more of a value option. I think Brigham Rocks and All Too Soon certainly can win the race, but they're sort of drawn that little bit more awkwardly than Just Shine, and Rakik's going to get back midfield anyway. So Just Shine's quite interesting, probably the one that I'd go to if I had to. Brigham Rocks, certainly a horse that sparks interest as well. Obviously debuting in that Avilius race first up, which was a very slow tempo. Got to the line nicely. Looks better suited today, but just drawn awkwardly. And All Too Soon's right on the up, but well and truly too short for mine around the $2.90 mark in a race that's full of some tough middle distance runners. Race 5 all about Redzel for mine. Really think it's too strong for these horses. Invincible Star, sort of looking at its form. It's had a year off, which is not ideal. It's never ever raced short of 1200 metres since its first start. I think it's more of a 1200 metre speed horse than a 1000 metre speed horse. It's hard to describe the difference in that in a quick time like this. Sort of preview, but it's obviously trialled up extremely aggressively and ready to go first up as much as they can have it. But it's hard to give away fitness, match fitness to horses that have had, you know, preparations not that long ago. We're talking coming out of short Brisbane preparations, short let-ups off Brisbane preparations. So it's hard to give away match practice, and this horse should get competition from the likes of the Monster and Randwick putting the pressure on pretty early. I'm not sure what memes and these sort of horses do today, but Randwick draws ideally to sort of slot in just behind them, or you know, go up and put the pressure on if there's no speed on. So Randwick looks to tick all the boxes. Second trial with blinkers on was much better. Looks ready to go. Only has to give sort of 2.5 kilos, 4 kilos to do Invincible Star, 2.5 kilos to others, and then sort of the ones down the bottom we're not too worried about. From a trifecta and Quinella perspective, I think there is some value here. I think horses like Three Sheets, Boss Lane can run into the placings. Not sure how the likes of Music Magnate is going. Monster will run well, but he's drawn the outside of the speed. He's probably forced to go forward and put some pressure on, and maybe a little bit vulnerable, which can leave it to the likes of Capernic, Boss Lane, the Three Sheets at big odds to run into the placing. So that'd be my value play. I'm right around Invincible Star here. I couldn't have it. Race 6 is a tough race. Lorraine draws awkwardly. Can it get across early? We're sort of looking at a rough look at a map. We've got Arbeit Sam, looks to be the leader. Takedowns not being ridden forward, but up to 1400. I'm sure they'll try and get him more on speed. Hopefully slot him behind, and they'll hope that Lorraine comes across and gives him some cover. There's no other real go forward horses. That leaves that Arbeit's will get a really soft time and probably represents the place value, I think, in the race. I'm not too excited about him from a win perspective. He's just a little bit one-paced against this quality of horse to really be able to put a race away, but he should be right there for a long way. Lorraine obviously in a challenging position, and such a good win first up. It was basically handed the race, but they did run time and he did it easy, and I think that's a perfect platform to run well again here. I don't think it was a really taxing run, even though he ran fast time. He just had that cosy, high cruising speed of the two in front of the lot in front, just dragging him along, and he never had to go around a horse and did it easy. Coming through is a tough, honest horse. Draws ideally. Takedown probably not at his best. Egg Tart needs a lot to go her way over this trip, I think. First up, Duke at Valentina trial well, but it's more of a place hope. Lanciato is the one. It's scary. We'll be launching late. If it's down the middle, he's right in the race, but we'll need a bit of tempo on and run on conditions. Young Star needs further. Dixie Blossoms has trialled well, draws well, should be just behind the leaders and can run well. Tom Melbourne never wins, but he's short enough, but he's trialled up well. And Natoya would have needed a lot more rain, I think, but he's a dangerous horse. Lorraine the obvious, I think, 290s. Maybe a little bit short, but not a lot. Has a bit of fitness over most of these. I think Arbeit's 360 a place best around that you can see there is probably the play if you're going to have a bet. If it's running on down the middle, big time watch for Lanciato, who looks absolutely airborne. It's the run on horse in the race 7. Wow. Unforgotten's a bit too short for mine. Can settle closer this time, but not a lot. And the only thing we've got here is the interest. Red Excitement obviously gave us sight in this race last year, and Winks chased it down late, but this time it's got the Apprentice on and could easily bolt on him, which is an issue. He's drawn right in the middle of the line. You've got the natural front runners in Kamiza Dabaka and Religify drawn inside, so they possibly could tag a runner like Red Excitement if he gets going keen. If he is restrained, the tempo might be not too bad, might be fairly soft, so it could play into the hands of the likes of a Kamiza Dabaka here. Not sure where Unforgiven gets to. Sort of looking, it's Unforgotten could easily get back in the second half of the field, which could be an issue. It's Somewhat's first up. can't really have it. Mr. Moonlight Magic, I want to see a positive betting move for it. It seems short enough strange that they put Christian on this horse if it was their top pick. What else we got? Classic Uniform not going well enough. 1 Foot in Heaven's first up. Watch your betting there. Religify looks past his best for mine, and I don't think he can beat the other on Pacer and Kabiza Tabaka, so it's hard to have it. Prized Icon should roll forward. Can run well. I think $6 is stretching the friendship, but about right. Allergic first up from a long break. No. Red Excitement doesn't seem to be going as well as he possibly can, and probably needs to put these away. Santono, what's he called? Santono Rasen, he's first up, and watch betting. Ace Highs probably needs one more. Single Gaze first up, can't have it. Sedans is the other one that I can really entertain here. Should be in front of Unforgotten in the run and should get to the middle, no problem. And she's an underrated horse that should be strong. $10 first up for her is probably the value in the race for mine. The Gay Woodhouse runners do look to be fairly well suited. I think Kabiza's in a similar mile, probably needs one more. Second up at a mile, could be vulnerable that last 100. I think Prized Icon and Sedans are probably the two most obvious chasers, and Unforgotten will be whizzing home late, but probably just a little bit shorter than it should be. Good race, but a tough race. Race 8 is fabulous. It's getting out to a more realistic odds, but came up quite short early here off a maiden win. Obviously, it's got a big boom on it, well bred, but I think she's going to need to be, out to a mile, if she gets a mile, to be as dominant as everyone kind of thinks. I think there are a couple more solid chances here that probably underestimating this race. So Hood was really good first up with that mad bias against it, and gets the blinkers on. Softer draw today, and the others all sort of go from soft draws to tough draws. Talking Fiesta, Outback Barbie. So I think there can easily be a reversal in that form. I think this map's well out here that let me sleep on it, and Merrill will certainly roll forward. Merrill's not the worst 100 to 1 shot I've ever seen either. And I think a Hood will try and hold a position this time and get in front of as many of these as possible. Just a matter of what these horses out wide kind of do, whether they press or not, to how much pressure's on. If these horses are allowed to dictate and a Hood sort of slots in, interesting. I think Pretty in Pink's another horse that will try and hold a position as much as possible, and that'll allow it to have its chance too. And I thought it was the Danger first up. I think that giving away a bit of fitness is not ideal here, which is another reason why Hood ticks some good boxes, but Pretty in Pink has got a bit of X factor about it. I think it's a pretty talented horse that could be ready to go here. Miss Fabulous, as I said, can win, but I would rather sort of $5, $6, $7 before I want to entertain it. Outback Barbie and Fiesta just draw those awkward gates that they can win in, but they're pretty short. Pure Elation is the interesting runner. It's obviously got untapped ability. It's got some issues, got some breathing issues, inside draw. Yeah, but if it gets that run that it needs and pops off, it just could explode. It's a nightmare horse in the race. So for me, I think it's a Hood from Pretty in Pink, and the dangerous horse in the race is Pure Elation. But it's probably short enough, but could easily blow them away. Lucky Last. Best of Days had the flashing light on it first up. Huge reports about how well it's got going since, how far forward it's come since then. It's been beating horses like Avilius in track work and things like this, doing the rounds of the room of the mill. Where's it going to be in the runs is the problem for me here, but there could easily be really good tempo, which should bring this horse right into the race. We're looking at horses like, Best Guess, Surplus, Almost Caught, Show a Star, all could press. Obviously two of those are stablemates, one of them's first up and the other one's been taking a sit, so it's not clear that that will happen, but it's a chance that they could go quite quick early. Best of Days obviously draws to be closer to last than first, which is an issue, but it's not a big field anymore. We're only talking 9 runners, so maybe you can give that start away. We'll know more by this stage of the day, and obviously if there is an on-pace advantage, there's more chance that more of them will try and slide forward. So should set up not too bad for Best of Days. The horse that I'm really interested in is another $1. Loving these horses off this Brisbane Freshen preparation. Was a winner over 1400 metres of a maiden. but he's a much improved horse since then from mine. I thought its trial was really nice. The barrier blanket worries me a bit that it may miss the start, and that's not ideal. But if it can sort of settle in the first 5 or 6, I think this horse should be super strong late. It's an underestimated type that has really good ability, and I like the look of this horse. Another $1 coming into this preparation. Sambro's another horse that comes off a very similar preparation, has trialled up, well enough. Does come to hand quickly enough. 1400 metres suits first up. Should run well. Best of Surplus had the 2 short course runs up with the 14. Pressing forward looks ideal, but he would have liked to find a race where it could sort of dictate, and this doesn't look ideal for it. Horses like Insensata and Best Guess can improve, so it's a pretty open race. Best of Days is the X factor, and I think another $1 is the one coming back from the spell that could have a huge upside. So for me, 7 and 9 in the last, but I'm not surprised if there's an upset result from maybe Sambro, who sits in behind there, and maybe Best Guess, who can roll forward Surplus. But again, it's more about tactics. I think these two are clearly the 2 horses to beat in the last Best of Days. Another $1. Not an easy day, but a pretty exciting day's racing. I'll probably play it fairly conservatively. Red's Elf's best bet of the day. Nothing too exciting there. But the Phillies race 8, looks probably the second best betting day, best betting race of the day. A bit of value around. Probably throw in, have a good look at Hawkesbury as well. Thanks guys, good luck.